Hello everyone, Mr. E here reporting live for Sloptide News Network, your most trusted source for all things Darktide, and of course, Slop. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Hive Scum class release trailer, which I actually think is a great representation of exactly what you will have your hands on in less than 24 hours. Additionally, we'll be taking a look at the preliminary patch notes, all the stuff coming alongside this class. Not only do we have that new map, but there are a select few other changes that you might not be aware of, so stay tuned for that. And finally, we'll be wrapping it up with a little bit more commentary on other things with the Hive Scum and, of course, the channel itself. So, with no further ado, let's begin with this class release trailer here. And, of course, subtitles are on.
This one! Time to die!
So I can't be alone when I say that that was a spectacular improvement over the class reveal trailer, this one down here. This is so much more indicative, especially as someone who's played this class, of what you will be getting. This class is all about energy, adrenaline, speed, moment-to-moment action and decision-making, and of course, blasting with wanton disregard. This class has tons of pop-offs and super high moments where you are going harder than any other class can, and it feels amazing. If they continue in this trend for next year and release more classes that are as interesting and have as many cool mechanics as this class does, they have a winning formula here. Because for as much as I liked RBDs, especially because it was the first new class to come to Darktide, it is very bland as far as the classes go, and that's why I really haven't played with it much or made much content since it came out. This, however, is kind of the opposite of that, and I think they could take this even further and go further beyond with more crazy character concepts to come, which we know they are working on more. So that is really cool to see. And talking about the costs and stuff, the class itself, just the base class, is $11.99, so exactly the same pricing as RBDs. I think it's a solid price for the class, $12. Honestly, other games are so much worse in terms of scamming for that sort of thing. So that's a good price for the amount of work. There's 6 voice actors for this thing, like think about how much work it is to get that all done, plus the talents and stuff. The deluxe edition is how they're really gonna make the bank here, because this deluxe edition stuff is an additional 7 for $18.99 being your total. I think the Duster's pretty cool. I'm not a big fan of these weapons here, to be perfectly honest with you, or that mask, but the Duster, it may or may not be worth $7 alone. It is pretty cool. But speaking of cost, if the cost is prohibitive to you, there is an additional way. If you don't have the money right now, but you do have epic gamer skills, you could engage in a little bit of friendly competition. That's right, I spoke in a previous video about the Speedrun challenge, and here it is, guys. We are coming down. We have less than 24 hours to go before I am going to be judging these, or just looking at the leaderboard, rather. But my top 3 places here, my world record holders for Rolling Steel, Damnation difficulty duos, will all be getting the Hive Scum DLC. Third place is going to get the regular Hive Scum DLC. Both of these people, whoever holds third place tomorrow when I check it out, will get that DLC. Second place will get the deluxe edition. Both members will. And first place gets deluxe edition each, Well, plus they get lifetime free membership to the Mr. E members only Discord, which is up and running and live. So if you're a Mr. E member right now and you haven't seen the video yet, or you aren't in here yet, hop in. I got a member video up on the channel that should show you how to get in here. This is of course where all the Bernie pictures are going to be shared, or at least a good portion of them. I'll still put them on community posts. There's Bernie videos even. There is also of course the mod setup here, including exclusive mods such as Pink Eye created by T-Dops, which enables those of you who are Havoc runners to very clearly and easily pick out those encroaching gardens enemies. And it also includes replacing all of your loading screens in Darktide with pictures of my adorable little pup, Bernie. So if you want this to be your loading screen, perhaps consider becoming a member, and that will be a privilege that you can engage in as well. Plus, you have direct access to me for tech support, and, well, we gotta get back to this person right here who's already managed to mess it up. I'll be with you in just a second, bud. But yeah, we now have that as an availability, and good. Thank you guys so much for your support. Let's stop shilling our own channel and go on and talk about the patch notes. So I'll give you some B-roll to look at while we are talking patch notes, because we got a lot of other stuff coming with this update that is not just the class itself. It is a map as well as a number of other features that I think have flown under the radar up until now. But that's what Sloptide News Network is here for, guys. It's to keep this news out in front of you, to bring it to the masses. So where do we start? Well, let's start with the new map. The new map is called No Man's Land. And this No Man's Land map is a trench warfare on Atonement. It is taking place outside of the city of Tertium. So we are like seeing the ruins of this blown out warfare strewn area, just as some I don't know, some commentary on it. Extremely beautiful map. This is just such a great piece of art. It really gives me a ton of hope for maps to come in next year, because, like, yeah, this is, if they're cooking stuff like this for our year to come, we are going to have some amazing maps in this game going forward. So very, very excited by what I'm seeing here. It's beautiful, and as far as what it is as a map, we are escorting a Leman Russ. Yes, an actual walking, talking, breathing, living Leman Russ. I mean, it's none of those things, but it is a pretty cool fucking tank, and it shoots and it explodes things, and we are escorting it to the end of the mission, which, you know, I've been saying since the first Operation Rolling Steel came out, they should add a mission where you ride on a Leman Russ, you escort a Leman Russ, and then that somehow happened. Maybe I'm like magic or psychic or something, or maybe it was just a cool fucking idea that anybody could think of. I don't know. But yeah, we now will be escorting this Leman Russ, commanded by Knight Commander Dragor and his Leman Russ battle tank Lionheart, and you go through the zone. It has a lot of very memorable fighting sort of theaters. Like there's a particularly crater marked area that's a really cool fight. And yeah, it's just a cool map. So I hope you guys enjoyed a lot. It definitely fits that 40K vibe. Like I think this is what a lot of people want. And I think you will also have like 2 days where the Krieg stuff is still in the store on the very last page. If you want to go full Krieg, it is a Krieg fantasy. I think this is like about the best realization of any sort of like trench warfare Krieg stuff I've ever seen. So that is pretty fitting. Now this map will be present on the mission HUD all week. So it'll be on there every time you look at the main mission menu. It'll be there for 1 week. It's been, and then after that 1 week, then you will have the mission available in the regular rotation pool, plus it will be on a campaign playlist. So what they're doing now is that there are these special assignment playlists that house like small mini campaigns. So you can go in there and you can see the Battle for Tertium, where you play along this like narrative path of campaigns that have like this the tie between, like when you're doing the campaign missions when you're leveling, and that will just chain together these missions. So you will play Rolling Steel, then Excise Vault Spireside 13, and then you'll unlock Operation No Man's Land, which is the new map, and then you can play it anytime you want. even once it's been removed from the map. So that's cool. So that'll be really good for those of you who are trying to get like videos and stuff on it as well, and just want to chill out in that beautiful environment. So that is a cool way. And what I really honestly kind of hope is that they can expound on that issue. If we're going to do mini campaigns across multiple maps, wouldn't it be really cool if you kept the same resources through all of the maps? So like you had to watch your ammo counts and you had to watch your grenades and your resources because you were going to carry those over into the next one, and just chain together maps and see how far you could go like that. That'd be pretty neat. Now that is a really big thing coming, but there's another really big thing coming, pun intended here. We have a new Ogryn personality, guys. He's called the Heavy, and the Heavy is referring to the fact that he is a Heavy. He's an enforcer for the cartels. This is a cartel-affiliated Ogryn who has that sort of rough and tumble attitude, and this guy has a very sexy voice. He's kind of famous, he's kind of a big deal. You might know him from a little character he played named Victor Saltspire. Yeah, it's Tim Bensink, and he is the new Heavy Ogryn personality. He's funny. He's like a funny Ogryn. I feel like every Ogryn is going to go into the thing and get their mind wiped and become this guy for the next months to come. He is very aggressive, and he likes to rant. He likes to rhyme. It's very funny. He'll like to put random rhymes and also mispronounce words from time to time. So he's kind of cute. That's a nice little addition. I didn't think that was coming, but hey, that's fun. I'll take that. Now, other stuff, guys, we aren't even close to done. Okay, so strap in, guys. We have to talk about the new in-game event, the Day of Atonement. So remember when Mr. E, eons ago it seems, warned you not to eat those fucking rations? Well, guess what? You ate the rations, it corrupted a million people, they're all sick now, and now we have to atone to Saint Messalina Gloriana for her forgiveness and protection for Tertium. And that means that the new event is we have to go around and scour for holy relics and pray at these altars. And when you pray at the altars, it summons bosses, and it summons like captains and the twins and monsters and stuff, in addition to hordes. So it's actually quite a fun little challenge. You can choose like, oh damn, we're in bad shape, we got 2 people down, let's not do this altar. You'll miss out on some event progress, but you know, you'll not wipe the mission entirely. And by completing this, you will get a cosmetic insignia in addition to all the Ordo Dockets, Plasteel, Diamantine. The cosmetic insignia actually looks pretty fucking sick. I don't think I can show the picture of it just yet because I'm reading this from a not yet published document, but it's a really sick insignia. You just gotta trust me on it. It's like very regal and stuff. And guys, and 500 Aquilas. Last tier on the thing is 500 Aquilas. They're bringing the Aquilas back. I don't know if this is something they're going to do every year for the next anniversary of Darktide, because Darktide's anniversary kind of falls around this time every year, or if this is only for the 10th anniversary, or if this is going to come out every time we do a new class, which would be nice. But yeah, those 500 Aquilas are yours for getting the ultimate tier on this event. And speaking of Aquilas, there are 2 new things in the shop. Of course, they're rotating the page again. There's going to be the new stuff for the Hive Scum. I have no idea what it looks like because it's not on the test server, so time remains to tell what this looks like. They're saying there's a new regiment bundle called the Athonian Tunnel Rats on here, so if you're a player of Warhammer and you know what the Athonian Tunnel Rats look like, just imagine that. I bet it looks pretty cool, who knows. But we've got that coming, as well as there is a new bundle for first time, like an intro bundle to the Commissar shop or whatever it's called. That is going to be a discounted price for some Aquilas. So when you go to buy the deluxe edition or the cosmetics for the Hive Scum or whatever is going to be coming out with this new rotation, you can get that, and that'll be an even cheaper way of getting those same Aquilas. And you can buy that one time per account as per what it says here. So that's all cool, and that's all the like meta, purchasing stuff. Let's talk about some in-game stuff, guys. There's actually a good number of changes in the game. Let's start with Havoc. Havoc is entering into a quarterly rotation, so it's having the truncation or the chopping. We are losing 10 levels, or you're going down to the 10th level below you. So if you're at 40, you're going to 30. If you're at 32, you're going to 30. If you're at 29, you're going to 20, and so forth. And they are rotating the modifiers. Unfortunately, the modifiers are as such: rampaging enemies, aka red enemies; encroaching garden, aka pink enemies; Contaminated Stems, aka potentially invincible enemies, and Rotten Armor, aka bullshit. And the rampaging enemies is not an issue here, nothing's changing with that. Encroaching Garden, however, is being nerfed, thank God. It's being nerfed from 1200 HP per second to everything within the radius, to having only 1200 for just unarmored. For unyielding, it's 1100. For Infested, it's 1,000. For Maniac and Flak, it's 950. And for Carapace, it's 800 per second, which I think that's going to actually help a lot. It's going to go a long way towards breaking those stalemates where you have so much Carapace. Carapace has so much damage reduction, and then this healing is going on the back of that. It's hard to get 1,200 damage per second done on Crushers that are all milling together, because they can just reduce your damage so much. This will hopefully reduce that healing to them, so we can win that War of Attrition if we play well enough. I'll take anything I can to get this pink thing under control. Then for Contaminated Stems, they have realized that blue might have been a bit of a problem, right? Blue stems before, if you were unaware, they were doing two things. One, they gave full stagger resistance to whoever was blue stems, so you could not knock them out of any animation. And secondly, they gave a massive damage reduction. For all Carapace armored and non-fleshy enemies, they were getting 60%, and fleshy enemies were getting 80%. And here's where the real kicker was. If you had an 80% damage reduction blue stemmed enemy and they walked into Tox Gas, that gives them an additive flat 20% damage reduction, and that would therefore make them invincible. So you would have an invincible, unstaggerable Rager, like a Dreg Rager, and they would just get on you, and you couldn't get them off because you can't stagger them. You can't get away. You'd have to run as fast as you can and probably get beat to death in trying to do so. So very frustrating. What they've done is they've removed the stagger resistance from blue stems and added it to the red stems, which were useless for the enemies before. So that's a good change, honestly. And that means that now, even when these enemies are damage reduced, you can stagger them, knock them to the ground. Good change. They are also lowering that damage reduction from 80 to 60. I am assuming this means for all enemy types, so the ones that were at 60 before are probably staying there, and the ones that were at 80 are now going down to that 60. So the maximum, even if they are in Tox Gas and stemmed, is 80% damage reduction, but at least you can stagger them, so you can beat them down, knock them to the ground, and then kill them. Rotten Armor is the final one I have to talk about, and I still just want this removed. I'm really hoping that this is the last 3 weeks. This is in rotation for a long time because I'm sick and tired of seeing it. Like, I'm not joking around with you. Please fucking rotate this out. I'm just so tired. Okay, so Rotten Armor, it was bugged, and it was actually not giving the damage increase. What was supposed to happen was at the top end of their HP, when you're above a certain percentage, they took reduced damage, and when you're below a certain percentage, they took increased damage. Well, guess what? The bottom percentage of their HP was not giving increased damage, and the top percentage was actually not reducing it as much as it does now. So with all the math considered, it's going to be barely any easier, but the real change here is that yes, when they're like below 50% or whatever, they take 25% increased damage, but that top 10% of their HP, they take 75% reduced HP, so reduced damage. So effectively, the top 10% of their HP is 40% of their HP total added up there, which is kind of nuts. So yeah, these things, I think it's still going to be a huge problem, and they made this effect apply to both ranged and melee. Previously, it was just ranged. I thought it was supposed to only just nerf ranged, but no, apparently it's supposed to affect only or everything. So now we have to deal with that for both types, both melee and ranged type enemies. So tired of Rotten Armor. Please help. Okay. Now let's talk some quality of life changes, some things that are going on within the Morningstar, within the game still. It's not to do with the metagame, but it's to do with the game outside of the in-mission stuff. We are getting a functionality with our talent trees where you can unselect and reselect blitzes, auras, and abilities, which means that you just go to that blitz and say like, okay, I want to choose a different grenade for this build, and you just press the right click or the B button or whatever the unselect button is on Xbox and PlayStation, and then you can just pick another grenade with no problem. This is an amazing change. This is really alleviating a problem that players were having where they'd have two of the same character who had overlapping auras, and they'd be like, oh shoot, can you change? And then one person would have to go in and undo their entire fucking talent tree and then do it all the way up again, and that was really, really frustrating. So now you can just unselect your aura and reselect a different one, which is even better because the way these talent trees have been redone now is the auras are oftentimes the same amount of points to reach both ones, so you can redo that. What I would push Fat Shark to do here, though, is actually just to extend this functionality to every part of the tree, to give the option to unspec one talent point and move it to somewhere else in the tree in order to not have to like move stuff around. There's plenty of places where that could work very easily on plenty of different trees, and therefore you wouldn't have to rebuild your entire tree on the fly. You can do stuff in the middle of its path without messing up stuff. But it's a really great implementation. I'm glad to see it here because it's a mod feature that I've been calling for a long time. We are also seeing some additives or additions to the meat grinder, aka the Psychanium. That means we're getting the Plasma Gunner and the mutated Poxwalker and the infected Mobian 21st in here. However, notably, there are still no bosses in the meat grinder, and that's what I really need to see from Fat Shark, is they need to drop the bosses into here. Don't really understand personally why we don't have bosses in the meat grinder, and I also don't understand why there isn't some functionality by which we can train, like actually train in this Psychanium. It's supposed to be a training environment, but yet you can't actually make the enemies attack you, which is going to be detrimental when you're trying to test certain blessings and certain abilities that require you to dodge attacks or require you to take damage. There should be ways to trigger and activate all that in the Psychanium so you can test it in a sterile environment. That's what Stephanie is there for, right? So that's where they should go with that. We also need to talk about the mission terminal. As I previously spoke about, they are adding in an additional button down below that's going to have this special assignments on it where you can play those little campaigns, those mini campaigns of missions, but they are also changing up some text and it's going to look different. It's definitely better looking than it was. It's clearly a system that they're continuing to refine and work on over time. I understand it's probably not at the top of their priorities. It certainly looks a lot better than it did in the very early days where it was super rough. It was clearly a rough draft envisioned, but now it actually starts to look like a computer console, and there's even like little like mission briefings that will play in sort of a picture-in-picture if you hover over the mission, so that's nice. We have some changes to UI for hit markers. When you're hitting enemies and you're doing next to no damage or no damage, you'll get a bright blue hit marker. You'll get a pale blue, like a light blue hit marker if you're getting some relatively reduced efficiency, and you'll get a white hit marker if you're doing pretty much full damage. This is just some extra communication to the player that, hey, whatever you're doing isn't doing anything right now. And that is very helpful, especially when you're going into enemies that have damage reduction abilities, such as, like, you know, blue stims, right? Sometimes you'd be like, why is this enemy not dying? Oh, they're taking 0 damage. And if we'd had these blue hit markers, then you would have been able to tell that at a glance. They are also updating the HUD in terms of the blitzes and ammo. So notably, Psychers don't use ammo or blitzes when they have stabs. So you would see that this Psycher has a grenade and they have ammo on their bar and be like, oh, well, do they need grenades? Like, I don't know. And it would cause confusion. Same thing with Ogryns with rocks and the knives for the Zealot and the dog explosion, aka remote detonation for the RBDs. They would have a grenade icon that had that certain color that told you, like, hey, they have this many grenades left. But now it is being communicated by actually having that element that says, oh, this is not, in fact, a grenade. This is... for the Ogryn, it has a little thing that shows how many charges of his rock he has left or whatever. So it'll show you that they're actually using something that's not a grenade, which will clear up some confusion. And this isn't the perfect solution personally, but it is a step in the right direction towards being more transparent and communicating to players that, oh yeah, this is how much like resources your allies have. This is what they're currently carrying. Now, from here, what I would really like to see them do next year is just to do a full UI overhaul. It's something I've been calling for in the last couple of videos, which is especially with the release of this Hive Scum class, where the ability and the stim are so important. Those things are like wedged at the corner of your screen and you can't even like see them and engage in combat at the same time. They need to reallocate or move that stuff around and make it more coherent and make it part of a centralized UI that is more readable, and also like truncate some of these crazy buffs that are getting out of control because there's just so many buffs all over the screen all the time. So that's where they should go from here with that HUD stuff. That I put that out in one of my previous videos. There should just be HUD settings to get presets around the screen. For in-game things, we have to talk about the Auspex minigame. It will no longer generate the little correct symbols in a long straight line. So RIP people like me who cheat at the minigame and have the mod that does it for us, where you could come up with a thing and it was like, and you could do all of them in a row. That was amazing, but oh well. We also can progress way faster if you are unlocking mission difficulties. This was a problem that I ran into when I was re-leveling my Psyker and my Veteran, was I got boosted effectively. I did Damnation, or sorry, I did Auric only missions in order to get to max level, because it's the most XP, but by doing that, I didn't play enough prerequisite missions to unlock all the difficulties, so I actually only had Malice and Heresy unlocked on those 2 characters. Now what's going to happen is as you're progressing your character, say when you're playing Hive Scum tomorrow, you will actually get bonus experience towards unlocking the next threat level when you already have unlocked that threat level with another operative, and you will get a double bonus when you are when you have 2 other characters that have that level unlocked. And you'll get a winning streak bonus on your 3rd consecutive win. So if you can just start leveling and level from 1 to 30 and you never lose effectively, you are gonna get all of the difficulties unlocked, no problem. You won't have to worry about like just getting locked out of those difficulties by not winning enough missions and by being too successful. So there you go for that. And real balance things, there's only one real balance thing that I think is anyone's actually going to notice, which is the Arbites. The Arbites is seeing a nerf to the Blitz, the Voltaic Shock Mine. That's going to 90-second cooldown when you are using the Blitz replenishment on Lone Wolf. That was a big problem, honestly. I feel like that is such a strong ability. A 60-second cooldown for 3 charges that were each holding every enemy that could possibly walk into them for 15 seconds was a no-brainer. Almost every single Arbites was running this because it's one of the most, if not the most powerful blitz grenade in the game in a lot of ways. And so getting one every 60 seconds with a cap of 3 was crazy. You could easily stockpile 3 of these and then just solve any combat encounter. So moving it to 90 is reasonable, I believe. And the other grenade, the Arbites grenades, for all 2 of you that are still using that grenade, is still staying at 60 seconds. So you don't have to worry about that too much. Then we have to talk about a couple final bug fixes, guys. We have some bug fixes. I think the most important ones here are the ones that actually affect talents that weren't working properly. Kinetic Flare wasn't properly activating at critical peril, so that's fixed now. We are also getting that fixed to the Fury of the Faithful. You're charging in as Zealot. You're supposed to do a big wallop of damage, but what was happening was a bleed tick or another instance of damage going on somewhere in the background was actually stealing that big blast of damage. So you were just losing that, and that sucked for Zealots who are already ailing right now. And now that is now fixed. And then finally, Just a Dream, the Psyker talent that converts a percentage of your damage taken to peril, was actually producing way more peril than was intended, like per point of damage taken. So that's been fixed, and they fixed it so that it does interact with an effect like Quietude, which generates toughness based on the peril you generate. So those are all good changes, buffs for those abilities. And I think that's about it. Now, they do have some notes here of known issues as well. These things are just going to be fixed in the coming hot fixes, which leads me to believe that there will be at least a couple of hot fixes that will be coming out in the weeks to come before they take that winter break. They have to get these things touched up and fixed up. There's a couple of slight bugs in there, and a lot of it is down to like talent tooltips and stuff. But I won't hold you guys here any longer. We only have a few short hours. Get out there, my speedrunners. Get those records submitted. Those of you who are getting excited for tomorrow, get ready for the builds and all that stuff. I'm very excited to be there alongside you. I'll see you bright and early for some streaming. This class is going to go live at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, roughly. So get ready for the class. And the free update will be live, I believe, at midnight or so. So get ready for all that. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you aren't yet subscribed to Sloptide News Network and Mr. E, of course. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.